we are Monday coffee hour blessings, and we are with the First Methodist Church in Independence, right, Sue?
Yes, we are.
Welcome, welcome. I'm so glad that we are here today sharing our cup of coffee together. Yes, good. Oh, wow. That is very good. You have even a thermal cup. That means you can last longer than I will. Mine is
I hope
getting
so.
good. So, welcome and welcome everybody who watches us today. And we are so happy to have you at this very early hour in the morning, because we have a whole basket of blessings today, don't we?
Yes, we do.
And yeah, go ahead, go ahead. And since we talked about RSVPs, our program, in a way, also designed that you can make an RSVP or you can just watch us. So whatever you choose. And but I appreciate you, Sue, that you step in, and hopefully today you can share with us about your experience with RSVPs, because that's the whole idea for today's time together.
Well, I too was very young when and experienced when I got my first invitation that said RSVP. And I was like, Pastor Lydia, what am I supposed to do with this? I don't know. And I ignored one of those because I didn't know who sent it, and I just didn't know. So I just ignored it. And then I found out that it was something that I was supposed to be at.
That's true. You did too. I didn't know that.
I
Wow.
did. But on the receiving end of RSVPs, it is extremely important for us to know so we can plan who's coming, what arrangements do we need to make.
Exactly. And then that's a whole message from the parable on the wedding that we had yesterday. And it came from Matthew 22. And that was about how Jesus tells a story. And what a difficult passage, don't you think? It's not exactly what we are looking for to read in the Bible. For me, when I first read it, it was a long time ago. It was not my favorite at all. How about you? Tell us about what is this parable? Jesus tells his disciples, and what does it do to you when you hear it for the first time?
I think it's intimidating. I think it was kind of scary to think that this all these things were going to be happening, and for why? Because it doesn't seem very Christian like, or it doesn't seem like that's God's kingdom. So I we have to read it several times. We have to, and I'm glad you had a sermon on that yesterday.
Oh yeah, honestly, I struggled. I thought, like, with our passion as a church to treat our community, and then also to have this monthly free breakfast for people from independent surrounding community. Um, but then again, like, we love cooking, and then I thought, oh, what a horror if the crew works in the kitchen since 6 in the morning, right? And then nobody will show up. That is
Yes.
quite a and that's what all these emotions in the parable were described. How the king, which we of course read about, the king as we understand this is God. So what kind of message is that? And so we've learned that this is an invitation of God to step into his kingdom. And of course, it's about eternal life. And of course, it's about us being prepared. But the reason I brought up RSVP, because if you go into like deeper into the text and read about how it was in the ancient Israel, the tradition was that everybody who was invited, of course, had to accept the invitation. And of course, those people were noble people, and they had garments to go and attend the royal wedding. And imagine with that, they had servants who worked, did the hard job, right? But weddings lasted 7 days. You cannot afford it. Only rich people could. And so that's, of course, they were honored to attend that banquet, and they did not show up. And of course, that was an insult and actually treachery. Because if you think about, people rebelled and they even killed the messengers. So they definitely made a statement, not just by not showing up, but also by killing the messengers. So that's, I think, is very important. And so from this point, then we moved to this RSVP, and we talked about the importance of it, and how hard it is on the receiving side not to have people show up, right? But so imagine what it does to God. And that's what I want us to go a little deeper today, to our calling, because God's calling comes with RSVP in a way, right? So that means that when we called by God, and we, even like when we as adults we get baptized, that's in a way our RSVP, right? So we are stepping in. It takes a long journey for us to really be a part of that eternal kingdom whole life, don't you think?
Yes.
So how, oh, look at this, I got my kitty cat coming.
Oh.
He jumped on my desk, which is not good and safe, because I have a coffee cup here. That would be funny. But anyway, so that's essentially the point of this message, that we all did RSVP. We all did. People who sit in the sanctuary, people who read the Bible, we made a commitment, right? So tell me about it, Sue. So how is that for Christians when we follow God's calling and we do make a commitment? And that's what is the next step? What do we do?
Share it. Share it with other people. Invite them to come.
Yes.
And I took a couple of notes yesterday. It was like when you were talking about kindom and kinddom, it immediately sent me to kingdom. And I know you mentioned family, in our relationship with each other as God's family. And we want to invite more people to join us in God's family, in that kingdom. But then the kinddom part of it, I kind of feel like that's how we live together in God's world for his glory. And we can't hide that. We can't hide that under the bushel basket, so to speak.
True, very true. And that's what I say. Thank you so much. That's exactly what this message is about. That we need to act on that. We need to practice, but also remember, this is the first part. So when when God sees people not responding to his calling, though they did RSVP, right? So they did follow initially, and then suddenly they acted like, we don't want to be a part of that. So, and that's what happened to the Jews, because they were chosen people. And then suddenly they did not accept God's son. And that's what the whole wedding message is about. And that's why Jesus comes into the world, and he's rejected. And the Father sends out messengers and brings anybody to that wedding banquet to celebrate his son. And here we are. We accepted the RSVP. We are here at the banquet. We are worshiping every Sunday. That's a banquet. And if you think about our Holy Communion, this is the table, right? So we are all there. But again, in the second part of that message, remember, it was a strange moment. When one of the guests did come, he was probably grabbed out on the road somewhere, and I will put this on the screen. So remember, he suddenly was punished by God for not wearing the garment I put here. So that is the message of being spiritually prepared. when we come to the wedding. And wearing that wedding robe is actually wearing the robe of righteousness, meaning simply trying to live the life that Jesus calls us to live, meaning being truthful, being loving, forgiving, all these qualities of a Christian that we need to practice. It takes time. But the reason this man who did not wear the wedding garment was punished by God and thrown into the darkness was that that's actually an illustration of who Judas was. He did come, he did follow, but he refused. He refused to be one of Jesus' followers in the full meaning of that. And that's why he was thrown into darkness. And again, when we think about God, we think like God is so gracious. So why throwing people into the darkness? But it's not literally like darkness and suffering, though for Judas it was. But for us, it means loneliness. But how do you understand it, Sue?
That's exactly how I understand that. Our loneliness was nothing compared to what Judas's loneliness was. We experience all kinds of loneliness and emptiness in our lives. If we just, I think, if putting on the robe of righteousness and being involved with activities at church and being involved with the members at church and sharing God's love, that takes away the emptiness and the loneliness. If we can help somebody else, it helps us as well.
Very true, very true. And that's what I think when I want us now to switch to this idea of, remember how toward the end of the sermon, we talked about the kingdom of God and how I had this Freudian slip instead of a kingdom, like we, let me put it on the screen. Instead of a kingdom, I put in our newsletter, in my article, I put a kinddom, like a kind dom, Kind dom. And then what happened was our administrative assistant, Teresa, she called me and she says, wait a second, are you sure? I said, of course I'm sure, because on the phone, I did not hear that kingdom. And so, but then I looked, and now I will tell you the secret that I did not tell anybody yesterday. Because kingdom with a D is like you can read it as a kind dom, right? But dom, D-O-M, in my native tongue, Russian, is house. You see? So kind house. You see how different it is. And when I saw that, I was like, oh my gosh, I have a typo. What embarrassment it is. But then I thought, wait a second, it's a whole preaching here behind the word. So Freudian slip is not for an error. It really brings our subconscious out, right?
It was very good.
I know, this is, look, I thought, yeah. So kind dom, that means that our family is kind, our house is kind, our church is kind, kingdom, you see, kind dom. And so, and I invite you to elaborate on this topic, because if you speak Spanish, for example, I know that you have your word for the house, but because house is not just a building. And remember how it is about church. The church is not a building, right? The church is not a steeple. Sorry, I just didn't mean to sing today in the morning, and but I just pops up like yes. But dom in Russia means your household, your living dwelling with everybody in it. And that's your relationship with your husband, with your parents, with your children, grandchildren. And that's what I think it should be kind. That's what I think the whole idea of our Monday Coffee Hour Blessing is to redevelop that, kind of to remind us the meaning of this freshness of the morning with a cup of coffee, warm conversation in the kitchen, and also reaching out to friends like you, Sue, and all people around us when we invite them. we have some good ideas, right?
Yes, we
And
do.
then when they don't come, we get upset. And so that's what this parable is about. That just as people RSVP to invitations, we must respond to God's call with a sincere and willing heart. Ignoring or rejecting his call can have consequences, as seen in the parable. So that's what, and the consequences simply for our time is that we lose this connection. We lose this opportunity to be in this kind dome of God's kingdom, right? But so that's how I moved to that idea of kingdom that we can build actually in the church and create a banner. So I will just put it on the screen. Dinner for six. And the reason I got so excited about it when you shared with me, Sue, is that it's exactly what we can kind of switch the word church dinner because it's just the meal, right? And it's a fellowship and it's preparation and working together. But if you say dinner church, you see, it's a different meaning.
It
And that's
is.
what, yeah. And so since now our church is working on recreating our worship and growing the church, one of the fresh expressions, this is what the United Methodist Church offers now, fresh expressions. How do we express our faith in a new way? And we are coming back to the roots, how the Methodist Church started initially in London, in England by John Wesley. He started building up small groups. And then those small groups had communion together, they prayed together. So your dinner for six is very much resonating with John Wesley's concept. Please share, Sue.
Well, we will start. We don't have a specific start date yet, but we will have like a big potluck at church for everybody that wants to participate. And several people did tell me yesterday that they want to be involved again. So that's very, very exciting for me and very exciting for the church. We can entertain in our home, or we can entertain at church, or we can go out to a restaurant. It can be a potluck every time. It's going to be focused on the fellowship and not so much on how we get to that point. But we're Methodist, food will be involved, of course. So when the sign up sheet comes out, I look forward to having you sign up. It does not, it's 6 individual people, or it can be a couple, could be 2 people. So everyone is included and everyone is invited to participate in this awesome outreach fellowship opportunity.
That really took my breath away when first time you shared with me, Sue. I thought, wow, what a golden idea, and it was practiced here in Independence. So thank you for bringing it up, and thank you for putting your time, you and Jim, your husband,
Yes.
into development of this project, because this is God's calling. I think you followed God's call. You followed God's call, and to bring people together. And though I thought it's just like last year it happened because you were so excited about sharing when you shared that. But then when you showed me 5, it means 5 years ago. I thought, wow, if it is so fresh in your memory, it is important. And that's an indication of God's calling. You can't do anything about it. It wakes you, all right?
He just tugs at the heartstrings and pulls you along.
Absolutely. And that's what I thought, that it is important for us to, you see, we have Donna Rekitke. Good morning, Sue and Lydia Stomina. Thank you. And then we have Scott Kiddle. Good morning, ladies here. So thank you all who watch us today, because it is important. And I think your idea of having this dinner for 6 calls all of us to do what?
Invite other people, invite guests, invite outside people from outside of the church to come and get acquainted with us. And to just have fellowship time together, to get better acquainted with. We know each other, but we don't really know each other. And that's where the relationships come in, when we are able to share and learn. I had no idea that Carol Schwartz could lead our exercise. And I've known Carol for a lot of years. I did not know that.
Yeah,
There's a yes. So
and what I did not know, you're right about Carol, that she is actually educated nutritionist and also physical fitness specialist, and here she is right there also to see the people coming, and then the group is growing and people are happy to be together again. That's another
yes,
illustration. And did I know that Donna Rekitke is such an amazing piano player, a musician? And I know we got like almost like over 600 viewers with her video. See, this talent, this church is full of talent. And I think unless we get together and we follow God's calling and we do RSVP for those dinner for six, right? Because we do need to know who will be in that initial cell group, right? And then
yes,
we learn about each other. And around that table, when we eat together, we also share about our faith. And this is how the church will grow with a very small group of people. And then you will tell us more, I hope, during the church this month or next month about how it will
yes.
work and how to proceed and how to do the RSVP. So we have Karen actually anticipating dinner for six. Oh, that is so good. Sue, I was in Roger's group last time and I was so glad I got to know him and Claretta. Oh, wow. Thank you, Karen. This is a wonderful, wonderful illustration. And also, it will serve as an invitation to others to join. We also have a message here from Germany. Wow.
Yes.
Hello from Germany to you too. That is amazing. This is how God works, I think. So maybe then in Germany, you can join us for dinner for six. And that will be international. So I thank you all. What a wonderful, wonderful place today to be with you, Sue. And also that's a hope that we do have God's invitation. And then sharing all our love, but also don't forget again that God is calling you today. Don't forget to respond. And responding, I know it feels like a gravity and responsibility, but take it seriously. God is calling you today to become a part of his kingdom. And don't be scared that if you sleep a little and maybe slow down, God will throw into the eternal darkness. No, God is graceful. And all we need to do is to take small steps. And dinner for six is a wonderful illustration for that. And so coming back to our time together, I invite you to finish your cup of coffee. And I know your coffee is still warm, so mine is getting cold.
Oh,
And
mine
that's
is nice and warm.
I know, you see that's what it is. So we are First United Methodist Church in Independence, Missouri. We send you all the blessings your way. We have a prayer request today. And Sue, you are kind of our key person in the chain of prayer warriors. Please put our musician, our music director, Chris None on the prayer list. He badly needs our prayers. He's getting sicker and sicker. He did not play yesterday, and Trisha Green stepped in. So now we'll be alone, and he's requesting urgently to pray for him.
Oh my goodness.
We
All right.
also,
I
yeah,
will get that out.
yes,
I'll
please,
get
let's
that out
pray chain
shortly.
right away. Also, we need to continue praying for Richard Stanton, that his recovery just started, and we need to be sure that God puts all his healing power into the body of these two wonderful men, and then continue the healing. So please grab your coffee and also grab your prayer warrior like a box. Then if you are anxious today or you don't know how your day will go, just whisper into your box your worries and leave them to God. We love you. We are happy that you spent this morning time with us. Meditate. Remember our meditation 5, 4, 2, 3, 1, meaning 5 things you see around yourself, and just do that and breathe like what you see around yourself. 5 items, and then 4 things you can touch. Come back to God center, and then 3 things you can hear. And sometimes when I do that, I hear nothing, because it will be either nighttime or very early in the morning. And you can't believe when I meditate and I suddenly hear that my dog is breathing very heavily, sighing. I say, "Oh, thank you, Luna, for giving me an indication that it is a reality. God is real. We are in God's presence." And then I hear maybe an early car passing. Oh, hooray, that's a sound. But if you don't hear the sound in the middle of the night, just remember the sound of your mother's voice, the sound of your children's voices, the sound of your most favorite music piece, something. And then it will center you in God. And then 2 is what you can smell. And again, early, in the morning, the coffee is not ready. There is no smell of your favorite smell, and it's okay. Just remember something. And as I shared with you, my most favorite smell is the smell of tangerine skin being broken in a cold December months, right around Christmas or closer to the New Year. And then 1 is what you can taste. And again, you can just imagine. But tell me, Sue, what is your most favorite smell?
Oh, golly. I, fresh bread baking in the oven. Or no, when it comes out of the oven.
Oh, you touch my favorite topic. Oh, that is just amazing. Yes, freshly baked bread coming right out of the oven. Oh my, and the way it looks, right? Oh,
Yes.
okay.
And
You
and it
made me.
tastes, and the way it tastes.
Oh, Sue, you touched the wrong topic, but maybe the right topic, because now we're getting closer to our time together and we can run and have breakfast. Okay. We are Monday, coffee hour blessings, and I hope Sue Shineman and myself found a way today to bless you, to remind you of RSVP, to God's calling, to remember that you made a commitment, or if you did not yet make this commitment, come to church, come to God, and also stay in tune to hear Sue's invitation to that amazing dinner for 6. God bless you.
Thank
And
you.
thank you. Thank you for your time, Sue. And thank you for joining me today. God bless you all.